You're tuned in to the It's Real podcast with your hosts, Kayla, Kallander, and Andrew Yaggie. Each week, we'll talk about what happens behind the scenes working full-time in real estate and share with you real-life stories, our successes and failures as we work to help consumers and industry professionals reach their real estate and real-life goals. Here we go.
It's episode 96 of the It's Real podcast. I'm Kayla Kallander, and I'm a mortgage lender.
I'm Andrew Yaggie. I'm a real estate agent.
Yes, you are. And yes, we are on season 4. What?
Wow.
This is exciting.
It
Act
is
more excited, Andy.
I'm honestly, Kayla, I'm re-energized and I'm more excited about real estate than I have been in a long time.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, it's always great serving people and helping people reach their goals, but you know how it feels, you're out kind of, drifting through space and kind of, just grinding away all the time. And sometimes it makes you question a little bit, hey, am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right place? Am I around the right people? No, I think we're in a good spot. In fact, I'm super excited. Our team is growing immensely. So it's going to be, I think, kind of a barn burner of a year as we get ramped up.
I love this for you. Okay, let me ask you, what's getting you so re-energized and excited? You said sometimes you question, right? I think this industry can really test you and, it's not for the faint of heart. What's making you re-energized?
I think just going out and looking at all of the possibilities, all of the people, I kind of use you as a benchmark and you do a tremendous amount of business, but I also have to keep in mind that, like in your case, you've been working in banking. I mean, since we were in college at NDSU, since you were a teller at Choice Financial at the Walmart branch on 45th.
I love that you still call it Choice Financial too. Yeah. Fun fact for our audience, Kayla worked inside of Walmart at a bank. It was terrifying. I learned a lot. But anyway, I digress.
But that's why I just look around and I just think that, it's just fun connecting with people, and especially when it's people that they want to work with you. I'm well past the point of chasing people or saying, begging people. I guess I've maybe never begged for business, but just really it's fun to go out and find your people and find like-minded individuals and especially helping people who you have that know, like, and trust with, kind of execute on their goals. And so, I don't know. I mean, maybe just turning the calendar and then also just looking at kind of what we've built on our team and the fact that we're starting to attract some pretty A-level individuals who want to dive into real estate and kind of take the leap with us. It kind of makes it a little bit more fun.
I think what's going to set you apart, Andy, specifically, and your team is your use of technology and AI. You've always been that person that's ahead of the game. I think I've joked before being in college classes with you and I'd be on my notebook and you'd have your laptop and you were, day trading. I don't know what you were doing, but you've always been ahead of the game. And I look at where our industry is trending and AI is going to be so crucial. And it's not to replace us, but to help us and to make us more efficient. But I feel like your team is already on top of, videos and YouTube and AI and systems. And you've always been the systems person. And I think that's what's going to really kind of separate the good from the great. So congrats to your team for already implementing those things.
Yeah, I think so. We've been really evaluating our tech stack over the last month and are really excited about some of the things that we're going to be rolling out in the new year, especially with better technology and AI. And and again, some people, they get spooked by AI. AI is going to be the end of humanity. It's going to take our jobs. It's bad for everything. But realistically, I look at it as, there are just so many positives. AI as a thought partner, AI being able to, take and do the tasks that I really don't like doing. So I can have, 15 hours back in the week so I can go and spend time with my family, my kids, do things that I enjoy doing. So I think it's going to be really, really huge. And really excited as our team kind of starts implementing a little bit of that. So
I love that. And I think too, it's, we spend a lot of time in files calculating income. You've got a buyer that's got 7 rentals and 10 businesses, and the amount of time that loan officers and partners spend on just, for example, calculating income. If you can push a button and have some things calculated for you, why wouldn't you? And I think that we have to remember that as we grow as a nation, we're always looking for ways to fine tune and get better. And AI is just kind of taking it by storm in ways that we've never seen. So I'm excited to see what happens this year.
Yeah, me too. Well, what about you? You know, I'm excited. Are you excited, Kayla? Are you ready to rock?
I'm jazzed. I'm my answer is a little different. I'm looking to really look at quality versus quantity. You kind of hit it, like working with the right people. What I've noticed is if I get a call like, "Hey, what's your rate?" Everybody's got rates. We're all pretty I mean, for the most part, we're all pretty even. And, people are just looking for the best and the lowest rate. I actually told a person last week, I said, well, if you're looking for the lowest, you should probably hop online and make about 10 dials because you'll probably find someone lower and lower and lower. And so I'm really trying to define who my people are this year, who my best referral sources are, who do I love to work with, what people give my clients the best experience. And that's kind of what I'm focusing on this year's quality versus quantity. So that's getting me excited because that when you're in that element with the right people and you're surrounding yourself in that circle, that's when we thrive in this business, Andy. That's when we do what we love. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of interesting just as we start growing a little bit, and it's kind of been me, and I've had Lynette, who's been kind of my right hand for 3 years now, and a licensed admin. And then, we've had, kind of an occasional, maybe part-time agent or someone to help support and our VAs in the Philippines. But, now that we've got, 3 additional agents and actually probably a 4th one that's going to be coming. I just look at, again, the possibilities out there, for, really building something great, serving people more cohesively. I think it's super exciting, just to see, and just even the camaraderie piece that's been missing a little bit around here because I've been a little bit more like a solo agent, just with some great administrative and behind the scenes staff. But, to really build something where now, we're out there and we're doing social events together. We're saying, hey, how can we go out in the community together, and just kind of having that bond. That's kind of fun. And that's something that maybe I've missed. I know you get a little bit of that, in the banking environment, but
yeah, I mean, although I come to my office and I feel like some days I just shut my door and I'm just in the zone. I think when with COVID, we got to this point where we didn't even know how to communicate with people. I think it's really easy to get used to being on your own and with your laptop or working from home or working from your office, but just being around other people. Like tomorrow, I've got the Women's Goal Setting Summit. And there's hundreds of women at this goal setting summit. It's put on by Kelsey Buell and You Flourish. But it's a great way to just get back and connect. And you get this more than anybody, who you network with and who you're around. I mean, you're one person away from a connection that could lead to a different life, that could lead to a deal, that could lead to a friendship. And so that's what I crave when I go to those things. And that's what I like. So although I do like my time, connected in working, there's something about just being around people.
Mm-hmm. You just jogged my memory for just a second. We talk about relationships and meeting people and what might come of it. So, last year I was very engaged with my real estate business, but I also flew a lot. I do a lot of corporate contract flying, and probably flew over 100 days and probably over 300 hours when I'm just kind of going through and looking and logging. And, with that, you have some interesting experiences, meet some great people, and also meet some random people as well. So going through the airport, flying back and forth different places. I was about a year ago, Kayla, I think I was sitting in the Boston airport maybe, and I was flying back to Minneapolis. And so, hey, have a little time. I'm right in front of the gate. I'm going to go and grab a bite to eat at this restaurant. All the tables are full. There was one seat at the end of the bar. And I go sit down there, and people kind of sitting all the way down. And I pull my laptop out and I start working on real estate. And the gal next to me kind of looks at my laptop and she says, oh, you work in real estate? I said, yeah, I do. She said, well, where are you from, or where are you headed? I said, oh, from Minnesota. And she said, oh, cool. Me too. Yeah, I'm flying back to Minneapolis. So we were on the same flight. And we start talking about the fact that her mom has a house that she needs to sell. And kind of a unique one, but, a number of hours away. And so I said, oh, that's cool. And I said, well, if she ever needs an agent, I said, hey, here's a card. She said, she does have an agent, I think. I'm like, well, is it a very good agent? She said, I think so. I said, well, how do you know? Does she do any business? And she said, well, how would I know that? So we pulled the MLS up and searched the agent and looked, and I'm like, yeah, she actually does do an impressive amount of business. And then she says to me, she said, well, let's see how much business you actually do. Are you really a good agent? And I was on par. I actually did more business than this agent. So she was kind of impressed. Anyway, we parted ways. And on Monday, I get a phone call from this gal from the mom because she had listed with someone else and did not get her property sold. And she really wants to talk to me when she comes back from Florida. And so the point being, Kayla, is that conversations, networking, who you know, you never know when an opportunity is going to, and it might not be today, it might be a year later. And that's what I tell my team all the time. And even to your point, Kayla, you might not be the first choice. If you haven't read the Full Fee Agent, Kayla, that I recommended to you, you still need to read it. I've read it probably 10 times, and I just finished it this morning as I was working on a project, rereading it on Audible again. But, talking about, are you the favorite or the fool? And you might not be the favorite right this second, or even in that case, I wasn't the favorite. She already had someone she was working with. And even today, we were just out photographing a listing that we're going to put on Monday. I've known the family forever. They worked with someone else. Didn't get it sold, but guess what? We've got a shot now. And so even in your case, and even for anyone else out there listening, you may think you're missing out, but who knows? Your opportunity may be coming.
I love that you shared that story. And I think that we need to relate that a little bit to, I shared on our sales call this morning with our team. I said there was a point where I was ready to give up on social media because I'm like planting seeds and sharing education and showing up on stories and really trying to be in front of people, which is scary. But I wasn't seeing immediate results. And I was at a point where I'm like, I feel like all this posting, what's it worth? The amount of people that have come out in the last even few months to a year is I'm starting to get in front of people. You don't know you're in front of them. They might see your stuff. They might see our podcast. We don't know because they don't like or comment or share it or send us a message that said, watched your podcast, saw your post. But I think we also have to remember, though, that it's about consistency and showing up, and social media, marketing the videos the way you do. Even though we might not see the fruits of our labor immediately, keep going, keep being consistent, because you never know who you're reaching, either like on a social media platform, for example, too.
Right on. This is a good, very motivational conversation, especially for agents and lenders out there. But we better talk a little bit of real estate, because I know you have appointments. I've got appointments as well. And actually, kind of as long as we're on that tangent, this actually probably serves the public and agents and lenders as well, Kayla. But I came upon this, popped up. It was from, let me see, got to get the right thing up here, from Keller Williams.
Yes.
If I can get this to pop up. There we go. So it really resonated, because it talked about, depending on, the demographic or the age group, sometimes giving up, concessions in order to not worry about things like repairs, having open houses, staging, uncertainty really resonates with people. So the average U.S. home price, $419,000. And this basically says, Kayla, that 65% of first-time sellers say they'd accept 20% less money to skip out on all of the uncertainty. Who's willing to sacrifice the most? Well, our generation, Kayla, the millennials that we often talk about, that are now kind of coming of age, to buy homes. 74% of them would give up that 20% to skip all of the uncertainty, followed by Gen X, 68%, Gen Z, 66%, but baby boomers say, forget it. I'm not giving up 20%. I want my money. I want my proceeds, so to speak. And then it talks as well, Kayla, about why many boomers aren't selling. And I think we've covered a lot of these, but, many, of course, own their home outright. Nearly 60% have lived in them more than 20 years. 6% of home buyers, 60 plus, plan to sell. And I guess this was from 2025. And downsizing often means new mortgage and a financial hit. But what do you make of that?
I mean, I relate. I think that, maybe you've done this thing too, as they say, what do you make per year? And divide that by how many hours you work per week, right? And per year. And if it's worth it to you, to hire something out, to pay someone else to do it, because if your time is more valuable elsewhere, that's what you should be focusing on, right? Like it's simple math. I related a little bit to that we are in an environment, in a society that we want things to be easier and quicker and more convenient. So I think that, yeah, money is a thing and it's a tool, but stress and feeling icky is, people don't want to feel that. They don't want to have that pressure and be worried. I mean, I'm the type of person, I sit and stew and worry over things, and sometimes you can't put a price on that if you can have that go away. So I relate to it a bit, that I can see as a millennial, I would be willing to sacrifice some money, but I think that's for anything. You get what you pay for too, right? I mean, that's my hot take.
Yeah, no, I like that, and I can see it as a whole, working with individuals, on negotiations. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm used to, Dan, out as you probably are, dealing with issues, putting out fires, dealing with asks for whatever. So I guess for me, I would prefer not to give up 20%, and I would roll the dice on any number of things. But as I think about it, I mean, yeah, it would be really great, to, some days. I guess it maybe depends on the mood and the mindset. Certain days.
Does. And what are the repairs, and what are, what's the timeline? I think there's a lot of different contributors of, would 20%, maybe 10%, but I see the point of it. I don't know where I would land, but I would say, like, time is money too. So I like that.
Yeah. Kayla, I came upon one other thing, and I'm trying to get rid of all these ads.
I know there's a lot of ads lately.
Drive me nuts, but did you see this in the news? Trump threatening to ban institutional investors from buying single-family homes?
I sure did. I don't know a whole lot about it. Of course, it's just, headlines right now. But I think, Trump's comments about it's really difficult for first-time home buyers and any home buyers to just get in the market. And it's hard enough as it is. And with rates where they were, I think that he could be onto something here. What were your takes on this?
Yeah, no, I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I have, rental properties, single and some smaller multifamily properties. And, and I have had some individuals say to me locally, well, geez, why are you buying up the properties? You're taking opportunities from other individuals, when realistically, some of the properties, okay, an average person's not going to buy a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex, more than likely. And, some of the properties that we've bought and actually rehabbed, like, most people are not going to buy those either, to live, because some of them needed so much work. But I think it is a pretty serious discussion. I've seen in foreclosure auctions locally, which we don't have a ton of foreclosures because we're in such a rural area, but I have seen some institutional investors actually buy certain properties in foreclosure. So yeah, I don't think at the end of the day it's a positive thing for them to be able to do that. I mean, I always struggle because I believe in free markets, and I think by and large that we should have freedom to do any number of things. But yeah, I guess there are certain challenges with affordable housing and just housing in general, especially in the Midwest. So it's something that we'll keep an eye on, and it'll be kind of interesting to see kind of how it plays out.
And yeah, I think the key is how it plays out. There's a lot of headlines, a lot of things that happen, but how does it really impact a first-time buyer, and how does that impact affordability, and will it be enough inventory? And depending on what market you're in, I mean, Fergus Falls might look a whole lot different than Fargo, North Dakota. So I'm curious to see what happens, but I think we'll just keep our pulse on it.
I think it talked about here how no investor owned 1,000 or more single-family rental homes as of 2011. However, by 2015, institutional investors had 300,000 in Atlanta, Jacksonville, and Charlotte. They controlled more than 15% of the market. So I think, again, in some of those markets, I think, okay, if they're starting to, get into the double digits as far as owning, I think that is challenging.
That is challenging, yeah. And like I said, every market's going to be different, but I think where we're a little bit more protected is we might not see it as the big cities do. So I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see if it says immediately he's going to, the powers that be get the powers that be involved, but we'll see what's to come.
Yeah, for sure. Right on. What else is on your mind today, Kayla?
Oh my gosh, I have so much on my mind. I think today I would say I want to end with, since we're short on, I feel like we always say we're short on time. you jogged my mind a little bit about, a lot of people are getting into books this year and I want to read. That's usually like a goal. Do you have, whether it's a real estate agent, a lender, or just somebody that's just listening in, a consumer, do you have a top like 5 list, or maybe a book that you just read that you feel like people in our industry, or just like I said, a consumer could benefit from, or one that really hit home for you? Because I know the Full Fee Agent is one of yours.
Yeah.
Do you have any more?
If you're an agent or lender, the Full Fee Agent for sure, because it'll make you totally think differently about your business and life in general. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, I think for anybody, have you ever read that?
Yeah, I did. I actually listened to it on Audible. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it's a very, very good book, and I love Robert Kiyosaki and a lot of his concepts. I really like Craig Ballantyne. He has oh boy, I just started. I'm blanking here, but the Perfect Day Formula, the Perfect Week Formula, and a couple of others as well that are really good. And his mindset, he basically says, "Hey, have the dairy farmer mindset, where you get up in the morning, you got to milk the cows. The cows don't care about your morning rituals. Get out there and do the work right away." How about you, Kayla?
Cows don't care. The cows don't care. I would say Unreasonable Hospitality is a great book about essentially the value you give, the white glove service. That yes, you can go to a restaurant and have really excellent food, but how's the service? And what's service recovery? Everyone makes mistakes, but how are you recovering? Service recovery is a big deal in any business because you cannot expect perfection. And so I really love that book for just quality service. If you want to get into a really great book about kind of going above and beyond, which also leads me to think that I don't think a lot of people pay attention to that. They think systems and processes, but not necessarily quality of service. So that is one I'd recommend. Atomic Habits is a great one. That's one that I've listened to that I need to go back and read and highlight, because I'll read a book and then I'm like, oh, what did I learn? That is key. And one that I'm reading this year that I started last year that I never finished was Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. I got to meet him in Vegas, and also go follow him. He's got great content. Because I think, again, we go back to AI and how that's implemented in systems and processes. And I think as we get older, as everybody gets older, sometimes it's not about hitting numbers and scaling and doing tons of volume. Sure, that's on our bucket list, but I think it's about being present and being around the people you want and having the time, because you grind so hard and it's a certain point you're like, okay, I want to spend time with my family and I want to take more trips. I think that becomes kind of a priority as we get older. Maybe that's just me. But Buy Back Your Time, I think, would be a great book for people to read as well.
I like that. Well, a lot of good recommendations. And I think kind of a good different episode, maybe geared a little bit more towards the lender or the agent, but I think a lot of tidbits that the average person would find useful too. And really, I think the biggest takeaway is relationships, time.
Yeah.
Go out there, find your people, make better use of your time. Buy back your time, Kayla.
Buy back your time. I love it. Speaking of time, we're at it, Andy.
We're out of it. Well, hey, Kayla, good connecting as always. I hope you have a great rest of the week.
I will if you will.
Buy back your time. See ya.
Bye.